Hello and welcome to the first video on the Nazi Germany module. The first section of the course was all about how the Nazis were able to take control of Germany so quickly and all the steps that the Nazis took in 1933 and 1934 to establish a dictatorship in Germany. So, what were the Nazis like in 1933 when our course begins? Well, we've got key leaders of the Nazi Party, Hitler himself as party leader, Joseph Goebbels, who's responsible for propaganda, Ernst Röhm, the leader of the SA, the Nazis' kind of private army. We have Heinrich Himmler, who is the leader of the SS, a small force of essentially bodyguards for the leading Nazis. And finally, Hermann Goering. He is in charge of, or will become in charge of, sort of domestic affairs, as well as the Gestapo, the secret police. What is it the Nazis want to do when they take power in 1933? Some very key aims are to scrap the Treaty of Versailles, the list of punishments given to Germany at the end of World War I, to target and destroy Marxism, communism, and the threat of a communist revolution in Germany. They promote this idea of Arbeit und Brot, so work and bread. Germany's coming out of the Great Depression in 1933, so life is pretty miserable for a lot of people. Lebensraum, meaning living space, so taking over land in Eastern Europe and moving German people into that land. Promoting anti-Semitism, so anti-Jewish attitudes and feelings, whilst at the same time promoting the superiority of the Aryan race, the master race of people, according to the Nazis. So the first of the steps that the Nazis take in order to secure total power in Germany is the Reichstag fire. Reichstag, pictured there on the screen, is Germany's parliament building. It's the seat of government. It's where members of parliament met, discussed, debated and voted on laws. Germany was a democracy before 1933, so these people are voted in to parliament. The fire takes place on the evening of the 27th of February. This is just less than a week before an election in Germany on the 5th of March. That is significant when we think about the benefits that the fire brings to the Nazi Party. The man on the right is Marinus van der Lubbe. He's a Dutch communist. He is found inside the Reichstag and is blamed for starting the fire. He admits to starting the fire. He claims he was working alone. However, the Nazis claim this is part of a wider communist plot to start a revolution in Germany. The following day, the Reichstag fire decree is passed with the support of President Hindenburg. And what this does is it limits people's rights. So things like the freedom of speech, freedom of the press are limited, as well as the freedom of public assembly. So people gathering in large groups in public, all of those things are suspended. People's posts can be read and their telephone conversations can be listened to as well. So a huge clampdown on individual freedom. More powers go to the central government, go to the Chancellor, Hitler, as well as the use of harsher punishments for certain crimes such as arson, which now carries the death penalty. Van der Lubbe is indeed executed by guillotine for the fire. Furthermore, 4,000 communists are arrested, including 100 communist MPs and the leader of the Communist Party in the Reichstag, Ernst Thälmann. So when we think about the benefits that this brings to the Nazis and in terms of limiting opposition, this basically wipes out the Communist Party as an effective functioning political force just before this election. So the next thing then, in the run-up to the election on the 5th of March, the Nazis also turn their attention to the other opponents in Germany, including especially the Social Democrats. The Social Democrats have been Germany's largest political party in the years before 1933. The SA beat up, intimidate, threaten party members and party supporters. The election comes on the 5th of March. However, the Nazis still do not win a majority of the seats. They still have less than 50% of the vote. That means that if all of the opposition parties work together, they can still prevent the Nazis from doing what they wanted to do. As a consequence, the Nazis join a coalition. They join with another political party, which then gives them a majority. The Nazis then pass a law known as the Enabling Act, which gives the Nazis the power to make laws without a vote in Parliament. So it basically gives Hitler the power to make his own laws without anybody's kind of scrutiny or say-so. This passes with an overwhelming majority in the Reichstag. Only 94 people vote against it. These are Social Democrat members. But bear in mind, lots of opponents have been arrested or beaten up or intimidated. Indeed, members of the SA are in the opera house where this vote takes place, as the Reichstag's obviously been burned down. Intimidated, so people are intimidated into voting for this as well. The next step then is something called Gleichschaltung. This means bringing Germany into line. This is a range of measures to start trying to control people's ideas and control people's behaviour, basically. The first thing is the Civil Service Act. Civil servants are people who work for or earn their wage from the government. So it could be anyone working for the government, the police, lawyers, judges, teachers. All of them come under the term civil service. The Civil Service Act makes it compulsory for people who work for the government to be Aryan and supportive of the Nazi Party. If they aren't, they're sacked. The Nazis also encourage anti-Semitism, so partly through propaganda, but again through intimidation and threats. They encourage the boycotting of Jewish shops, telling German people not to use Jewish shops. They post SA men outside Jewish shops to put off people from going in to them. Photograph on the slide shows book burning. So at universities, books by Jewish writers, books that promoted anti-Nazi ideas are burned, and some people enthusiastically take part in this, as you can see. Finally, the rollout of terror. The Nazis set up the first concentration camp at Dachau, just outside Munich, in 1933. Political violence becomes much more common. Well over 600 political opponents are murdered in 1933, as well as 100,000 plus that are arrested. Next group that are targeted are trade unions. So trade unions are organisations to represent workers' rights. They're often, in most countries, closely linked to left-wing political parties, communists or social democrats. The Nazis fear unions and potential opposition because of strike action. Okay, so unions, when they are frustrated or angry about particular things, about pay or their working conditions, they can go out on strike. There's obviously a mass source of potential opposition. Certain unions have the power to paralyse a country, to stop the country functioning properly. So a big threat, a big potential threat to the Nazi Party. So in May, the Nazis turn against them. Their offices are raided. Their newspapers are closed down. Following this, in June, the Social Democrats, the main sort of opposition political party, also have their offices raided, their assets, their money seized, taken from them, as well as 3,000 party workers arrested and tortured. This follows in July with a ban on political parties, on other political parties. Germany's become a one-party state here. Next area of focus is around local government, so sort of like local councils and state councils, things like that. The Nazis reform this, breaking Germany up into 42 Länder, different areas of the country. Each Länder can elect its own sort of council to run the area. However, again, this was heavily populated by the Nazis. They also divide Germany into 42 Gaue and appoint a Gauleiter, a Gau leader in each area. Each of those is a Nazi and reports back to local government, to central government, sorry, the main government in Berlin. The Nazis also set up the People's Court. a court to try political opponents. As you can see from the image, the chances of a fair trial are zero here. People are rarely allowed to defend themselves. They do not have a lawyer to represent them. There's no jury trial. Usually it's political opponents that end up here, and almost always they're sentenced to death. The next big event is the Night of the Long Knives. So in the, Ernst Röhm, the man pictured here, is the leader of the SA. In the lead up to this event, there had been several disagreements between Hitler and Röhm, particularly over the army. Röhm wanted to be given control over the army as well as the SA. Hitler did not like this idea. He thought that this would make Röhm too powerful and a potential threat to him as leader of the Nazi party if he controlled not only the SA but also Germany's regular army as well. So a meeting of the SA is organised in June 1934 by Goebbels and Hitler, and upon arrival there, most of the SA leaders are arrested and imprisoned. Röhm himself is given the opportunity to either commit suicide by shooting himself in prison, or he's murdered by the SS instead. Not only is the SS targeted, but also all kinds of different opponents across Germany are murdered on this night as well. As a consequence, there's a huge reduction in the power of the SS and a huge increase in the power of a huge reduction in power of the SA and a huge increase in the power of the SS and Heinrich Himmler. The SS Himmler kind of take control of the SA now. The army also has to swear an oath of loyalty now to Adolf Hitler. And ultimately, this night, Hitler comes out on the radio saying, look, I had these people murdered. I did it because they were a threat to Germany. They were a danger to this country. He basically admits to the public on radio that he decided that people needed to die. And without any kind of investigation or fair trial or process, he just has them killed. So terror has become kind of normalized in Germany by 1934. The final step then to the Nazis and Hitler becoming, making Germany a complete dictatorship, one-party state, one man in power, is the death of President Hindenburg in August 1934. Hindenburg still technically had the power to sack Hitler as chancellor and force elections. For Hitler, he moves quickly to combine the jobs of chancellor, which he was already doing, sort of the equivalent of prime minister, as well as president, to create this new title of Führer, basically undisputed leader now of Germany. So that's the end of the first section of how the Nazis created a dictatorship in Germany.